Hi, this is Alan Shimel of DevOps.com at IBM InterConnect 2016. Really happy to be joined with someone who I've had the pleasure of interviewing a lot of times,
Mhm.
Rosalind Radcliffe of IBM, Distinguished Engineer of IBM.
Thank
Rosalind,
you.
thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here. Well, I'm happy you're here at our conference.
Yes, and it's quite a conference. I've interviewed a bunch of people and spoke and having a great time. And we were talking before we started recording today, Rosalind, and one of the themes, I always try to pick out themes. One of the themes I'm hearing from people about this year's conference is what I call visibility. Everyone is looking for visibility, whether it be visibility into their compliance, visibility into their bottlenecks, visibility into their testing processes, visibility into their systems of engagement. Visibility. It seems almost that we've sacrificed visibility for speed. And I wanted your kind of thoughts on that and takes, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting problem that everyone has to deal with. How do you provide the right level of visibility, transparency within the organization without too much overhead and without the no, I don't want to kind of thought processes from developers and testers. So what you really need to do is provide an integrated system to allow you to plan and track activities that really is an end-to-end capability all the way from the beginning requirements all the way through the end testing, build, deployment capability. So you can get this traceability and understand, here are my requirements, this is what implements it, this is what tests it, this is how it's deployed, and this is how it's running in production. So it's a full life cycle information. And with that, if you're tracking this information, then you have information about developer productivity. I want to be a little careful. Some of our German friends might not appreciate that word, but you understand what the developers have been doing. You can track how your team is progressing and how fast they can do team
Mm-hmm.
velocity. You can understand what your build system is doing from the standpoint of repeatability. Am I actually consistently getting good builds? Am I consistently delivering function? And providing that kind of information, then I can have the dashboards so everyone can see what's going on.
Right.
And then it's truly visible to the organization.
So let me just take step two on that, though, Rosalind, which is, if we've sacrificed maybe visibility for speed, having visibility for visibility's sake alone isn't necessarily good either. I was talking to someone from the IBM Enterprise Systems division today, and they were talking about visibility into testing. And but there wasn't just I want visibility. The idea behind it was is if I can have this visibility into testing, instead of having to run 10,000 tests every time, maybe I just run the 100 tests that I need, which allows me to finish my testing much faster, less resources used. So it's visibility towards efficiency, visibility towards automation.
Well,
Thoughts?
it's critical to understand what tests are covering. So if you tie your tests to code coverage, so you understand what they're covering, you can have a better understanding of the testing that you're doing and whether or not you're actually doing something useful. Or, you may be running 100 tests, but really you're testing the same thing
Right.
100 times. So you really need that kind of visibility. And that's a perfect example of visibility that provides real value. Understanding what your tests cover to allow you, based on the code changes that you make, to select the right tests to run the next time. And maybe you're going to run those tests in the early build stage. So my first regression is going to be that smaller piece. And as I move later in the cycle, I may be doing more testing anyway because I want to validate things.
Mm-hmm.
But this allows me to test the right things much faster in the beginning. And it ties to my test cases, understanding what they're covering, the changes I'm making, the requirement for them, and all this, all of the traceability and visibility needs to be done to return value.
Mm-hmm.
And test case tracking returns value so you can choose the right thing. Understanding the team velocity allows you to do a better selection of what I'm going to build next.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about collecting metrics and providing information that is of value and not asking developers to give you data just for data's sake.
Right. So let me again take step 3 now. We get data not just for data's sake, but another theme here at InterConnect this year, cognitive, right? And to me, that represents sort of almost intelligent automation. That's, my kind of phrase for it. What do you think?
Well, I think there are lots of opportunities to take the cognitive thought and apply it to the development process. But even before we get there, just using the intelligence thought of the data that we're collecting to use the information to help make better choices, to help feed. But if we think about cognitive computing and some of the options we might have to understand, well, based on the data of what the team has been doing and how you've been testing, maybe you need to invest in a different area because you're not focusing in the area that's providing value to the company.
Mm-hmm.
The actual systems, there's a lot of data that's being captured in the operational environment. So I know what transactions are really being run, what activities are really happening. If I can take that data with the development data, bring it together to actually process and understand these are the areas I should focus in because these are the areas more used, or these are the areas I can focus on because they're helping me drive more business value. Tying this all together could provide huge benefit to all of us developers to make us be more efficient and allow our organizations to get better business value.
Agree. I couldn't agree more with you, Rosalind. As usual, you're just dead on. Anyway, we're about out of time. I hope you enjoy the rest of InterConnect. Hope to see you again soon, and we'll probably talk before then around something around DevOps. Thank you.
Thank you much.
Rosalind Radcliffe, Distinguished Engineer, IBM. This is Alan Shimel for DevOps.com.